They only want white people here.
When I say certain people have the complexion for protection, this is what I mean.
These are the first group of white South Africans who've been fast-tracked into refugee status. The Trump administration made a big thing about cracking down on immigration and suspending the refugee resettlement program. So questions are being asked on why has such an exception been made for this group of people?
So ICE is currently kidnapping people, sending them away, taking them away from their families and things like that. Truly a terrifying time. But in the middle of all this, Trump has decided to bring in all of these white refugees from South Africa that claim that their lives were in danger because there was a white genocide. Only here's the thing. There's not. That's not happening.
So what's the difference between the South African refugees coming here and everyone else coming here looking for the American dream and a better life? Really, what's the difference? I think it's the color of my eyes.
The Afrikaners that are leaving for America are broke. They don't have money, these guys. So you don't need to worry.
The more I think about these Afrikaners, the angrier I get. Right now, there is a 19-year-old DACA recipient who has been here since she was 4 years old, has been detained for almost a week. Monday will be a week. He's got her detained, and he's deporting United States citizens. People born in this fucking country. But he's flying white South Africans here on our dollar and paying for them to stay.
Americans are pissed, and they have a right to be. I mean, Afrikaners, if you don't know Afrikaners, these are white South Africans, and they are being given asylum in the United States as refugees. And guess who's paying for that? Yeah, American taxpayers. Well, this is after mass layoffs of federal employees, in the quest of making the government efficient and cutting costs. Yet they are bringing Afrikaners, white South African refugees, and some people are calling this a double standard because you are deporting Latinos, back to their countries, even Latinos who are actually born in the United States, and you are bringing in, white Africans, from South Africa. As long as they are white, they are most welcome. Well, people are calling this a double standard from their government, from the GOP government, because we have seen videos of Latinos being, deported regardless of the fact that actually they have citizenship. They were born in the country, they have green cards, but they have been deported in masses. People who are already in the country working and paying taxes, but you are bringing in, people who are coming from Africa just because they're white. Well, people are calling this a double standard. Let's talk about it. My name is Joel Mugisha, your presenter for today. If you're new to the channel, kindly consider subscribing, like this video, and drop me your opinions. Let's take a look.
When I say certain people have the complexion for protection, this is what I mean. These are the white South African refugees that are coming to the United States after Elon Musk lied and spread misinformation on Twitter, saying that these white South Africans were experiencing G-side by the political party in charge. Here's the timeline of events. On July 31st, 2023, Elon Musk tweets they are openly pushing for G-side of white people in South Africa. Then he tags the president of South Africa and says, "Why do you say nothing?" So as you can see, Elon Musk has been fueling this fire and spreading this misinformation for fucking years now. Fast forward, Elon Musk spends $300 million getting Donald Trump elected. Donald Trump wins. And the first day in office, January 20th, 2025, when he gets inaugurated, Trump signs an executive order ending the refugee admissions program. An executive order that basically says the United States lacks the ability to absorb large number of migrants, and in particular refugees, because of the availability of resources for Americans. Essentially declaring that the refugees coming to the United States were competing for resources against Americans. Elon Musk then uses the power of being in Trump's ear all the fucking time and up his ass and turns Trump against South Africa. Even though the claims of white G-side are ruled not real by a South African court, literally 4 days later signs an executive order called Addressing Egregious Actions in the Republic of South Africa, where he cuts off all funding to South Africa. Then he fast-tracks white South African citizenship while rejecting all other refugees. Here's where the story gets better. Here's where I say that they had the complexion for protection, because these white South Africans are descendants of mainly Dutch and French colonial settlers who first came to South Africa more than 300 years ago. They were at the heart of the apartheid government that systematically oppressed non-whites. Yeah, they're the ones who get to come here on an air-conditioned plane, walking through the airport, welcome to the United States, given flags for a fucking photo op. Meanwhile, the Afghan refugees who helped the U.S. military during the U.S. military operations in Afghanistan are in dangerous limbo after the Trump administration ordered a pause on the refugee resettlement program. Meanwhile, this is how Black Haitian immigrants are welcomed to the United States. Meanwhile, other refugee populations that are non-white, this is how they come to the United States. I'm not saying that motherfuckers gotta look like their story or look like they struggled, but there's a clear differentiation between people who have valid concerns, valid refugee claims, and seeking asylum versus these motherfuckers that are coming in shorts and look like they're well fed and look like they have good clothes on their fucking backs. If you really want to deconstruct all the fucking hypocrisy all the fucking way, why is it that the reason that the U.S. refugee resettlement program was scrapped was because the refugees were competing for resources against Americans, yet the literal website that's helping them resettle into the United States is openly saying that these white South Africans are going to receive financial assistance, a one-time federal grant, $1,275 per person, cash assistance, supplemental nutrition assistance program, food assistance, food stamps, housing assistance, medical assistance, work and employment support. And to top it all off, they won't have to even prove that they were being persecuted. The complexion for motherfucking protection.
White people with less than $100,000 and that own a red hat. Make sense of this for me. America first, but make sense of this for me. The front half of a centaur that's running this country, there's a good joke about Elon being in the back half with a puppet, is currently expediting refugees from South Africa to America with short and long-term housing while you're still poor. Before they helped you, like anybody with less than 100 grand is poor. You're still poor. I know there's different levels. You're still in the group that is not their friend circle. Probably never will be. Likely will never be. Does it hurt or bother you that this group that's putting America first is now putting South Africans first, who, by the way, got there from where? Not America. They're actually Dutch, French, and German colonists. Make this one make sense to me. I feel like you can't just say, like, they're refugees, they need our help, because if that was the case, is it different because they're white? Just say that then. Just say that. What's that song by YG and Nipsey Hussle again?
They only want white people here. Because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo, not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against. Why would they be getting discriminated against? Probably because they spent generations instituting legalized forms of racial segregation and discrimination called apartheid, aka Stephen Miller's wet dream. See, while the rest of the world after World War II saw that maybe racial discrimination not such a hot idea and favored more policies of integration and away from colonization, Afrikaners doubled down on that shit and instituted apartheid. Although it ended over 30 years ago, the social and economic legacies of apartheid continue today. South Africa is the most unequal country in the entire world, according to the World Bank, with white South Africans earning over 12 times what black South Africans do. But don't worry, we're going to make sure that the white Afrikaners who instituted generations of discrimination and segregation against black people get everything they need to get started here in the United States in their new life.
So let me get this straight. A bunch of South African YTT farmers have been granted refugee status and imported to the United States under the auspices of President Elon Blobfish Musk and Vice President Humpty Dumpty McAsscrack, the vapid bag of dog farts. None of them have been vetted. It's pissed off the Episcopal Church so much that they're not going to participate in refugee relocation. But Vice President Humpty Dumpty McFuckstick says it's not about race, even though all of them are YTT. Right? Okay. Got it. I mean, shouldn't those colonizers have been just deported back to Holland? They're not native to this country. I was just wondering. Maybe El Salvador would want them. And then at the same time, we're not accepting people on refugee status from countries that are at war. Okay. I mean, what in the raisins in the potato salad moment is that? That makes no sense.
The more I think about these Afrikaners, the angrier I get. Right now, there is a 19-year-old DACA recipient who has been here since she was 4 years old, has been detained for almost a week. Monday will be a week. He's got her detained, and he's deporting United States citizens. People born in this fucking country. But he's flying white South Africans here on our dollar and paying for them to stay. He has a 19-year-old DACA recipient in custody, deporting United States citizens, firing over 300,000 Americans, coming up almost 83,000 veterans he's firing. In the next budget, gets rid of almost $700 billion in Medicaid. And he's purposely going out of his way to go to South Africa, use whatever airplane they're going to use, probably fucking Air Force One or something bigger, with our money, and put these people up in houses across the country.
The Afrikaners that are leaving for America are broke. They don't have money, these guys. So you don't need to worry that, oh, we're losing voices that keep private schools open, having great private hospitals. Those are not the Afrikaners that are leaving. These are Afrikaners that are unemployed, and they believe that BE has caused them to be unemployed, and that now, essentially all the different policies that have been put in place prioritizes black people more and has now left them behind. That those are the people that are leaving the country. Going to another country to be a refugee is crazy business. It's wild. Like, do you understand that you are saying that you are equivalent to an individual that is coming from a war-stricken country? That's essentially what you're saying. So that means that you are saying that things were so bad in your current country that you didn't have access to water, you didn't have access to food, you didn't have access to housing. That's essentially what you're saying. And it's possible that it was happening to some of these white Afrikaners. But my goodness, dog, yeah, it takes a lot of humility. I didn't know that Afrikaners had such humility. I've actually been impressed that some of these Afrikaners are humble enough to want to become refugees. Imagine, want to become refugees where they're gonna be given the absolute bare minimum. You should check on TikTok. There are videos of people showing the places where they're staying, where before they're actually dispersed into the different areas that they're gonna be relocated. It really is the bare minimum. So yeah, it's no one who is coming from a nice poshy lifestyle with all the farms and all of that is gonna be leaving to go to America. It's really just gonna be poor Afrikaners. I'll be very surprised if there are any rich Afrikaners. Please come into the comment section and say, listen, I'm a rich Afrikaner and I am actually going to be leaving. I'll be very surprised if they're there. But yeah, to the poor Afrikaners, no, if you guys are suffering that much, you've got my full support. I mean, maybe you guys don't care about my support, but I am telling you that I personally am fully in support of you guys seeking a better life in America as a refugee.
The population in South Africa is 90% black, but black people in South Africa only own 4% of privately owned land in the entire country. But somehow Trump is convinced that these 59 white South African refugees deserve to be housed and fed on the taxpayer dollar in the United States because they were being discriminated against in their home country. It makes me so fucking sick to see that in the same week that a 16-year-old girl had her face slammed into the concrete by ICE because she was brought here as a minor into the United States by her parents, that our taxpayer dollars are simultaneously being spent on an expedited refugee process for white people in South Africa, where they only make up 10% of the population, but they own 96% of the fucking land. Are you kidding me? And their justification is that they believe that white people are being genocided in South Africa. So all of a sudden they have a problem with genocide. Meanwhile, the United States is literally funding a genocide in the West Bank. And for the record, that's not even happening in South Africa. It's been disproven and debunked multiple times. And it's just Elon Musk spreading right-wing bullshit, white supremacist bullshit, as usual. That's all this is. It's just white supremacist bullshit all over again. I'm so tired.
Alright guys, so the Africans are on their way to the United States looking for a better life. As we have heard actually, well, Afrikaners, they come from South Africa. These are white South Africans, and well, we can dig into the history of, where they came from. We all know they came from Europe to the Southern Cape of coast of South Africa, and most of them, they speak a language called Afrikaans. Now they're coming to the United States because they feel threatened in South Africa as minority white group. Now if you're being honest here, we all know that South Africa has the most inequality in the whole world in terms of division of wealth, because the South African economy is actually run by the 1% white people, while the 98% of the black community, black South Africans, they own nothing. All of the land in South Africa is owned by white South Africans, and most of it was actually stolen through colonialism in the Apartheid era. Now the new government, or the ANC government, has actually been trying to pass a law that says that if you're a company, you should actually perform inequality in terms of hiring. If you have 50% white employees, you should have 50% black employees. And a lot of white people have been fighting that, because they're trying, of course, by right, they're trying to give opportunities to black South Africans, because it's not right to be in a black country and everything be run by people who are not even originally from that country and from that land. Now just imagine somewhere in Germany or somewhere in Spain, and the whole economy is just run by the 2% of the black community in that country. Of course it's unacceptable. It will never be accepted by any country in Europe. Why should an African country actually accept that the whole 95% of its economy is being run by the 2% of the community of the population, which is now white South Africans? Now coming back to Afrikaners actually coming to the United States, as we have seen in the videos guys, those who are actually rich, they have no business coming to the United States and start over. It is the poor Afrikaners that are actually, looking at this opportunity to seek refugee status in the United States. And the United States is actually welcoming them. And guess who's paying that? American taxpayers are gonna be paying everything for them to feel at home, to feel comfortable. Now this has been actually getting a lot of backlash from the American community, especially white people, because they see this as double standards, because American government, the GOP, has actually been deporting in masses illegal immigrants, especially Latinos. Now, if you're doing this, you're basically saying that, you know, people of color, as long as you are a person of color, as long as you are a Latino, you're not welcome in the United States. But if you're a white person from anywhere in the world, you are welcome to come and join us, and we'll gladly actually give you refugee status. But we have seen even Latinos holding green cards be deported, even some Latinos who are born in the country be deported. We have seen the orange man go to the length of actually trying to revoke, you know, birthright citizenship for Latinos or illegal immigrants who are born in the country but their parents came illegally or their grandparents came illegally. But if you're being honest here, you know, if we go back in time, did white people, did palm-colored people come into the United States illegally or legally? You let me know in the comment section below, because as much as we know, if we are being honest to each other, that land never belonged to them. They also came from Europe. Now, the fact that you are deporting people who actually, you know, were living in the Americas before you did, you know, people, they might have been in Mexico by that time, but it's still the Americas. They were on the continental plate of the Americas before you guys even came to the Americas. Now, most of you will come, you know, and tell me in the comment section below that, you know, it's the new world. We have countries right now. Back then, we didn't have countries. Well, yes, we might have countries, we might have borders, but still, why are you bringing people from outside the United States, from another country in Africa? You know, just because they're white, they're given citizenship, they're given asylum, while you are revoking the green cards of people who actually came into the country legally, while you are trying to revoke birthright citizenship for people who are born in the country. Is that acceptable, or is that, you know, double standards? Let me know in the comment section, guys. Do you think this is acceptable, and what's your take and what's your feeling? How do you feel about white South Africans coming to the United States as refugees and all this being paid by American taxpayers? Let me know. I'm your presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, like this video, and don't forget to share this with your friends and family. As always, see you on the next episode.